Dum-dum, beetle-dum-dum, beetle-dum-dum, beetle-dum-dum. There was a turtle by the name of Bert, and the turtle was very alert. When danger threatened him, he never got hurt. He knew just what to do. He ducked and covered, ducked and covered.
He did what we all must learn to do. You
and you
and you
and you, duck and cover.
So it's your testimony before this committee under oath that no one in Connecticut needs to leave anywhere. From a serious destruction of Indian Point does not require anyone from Connecticut to leave.
I think it would be exceedingly unlikely that anyone living in Connecticut would have to take an action as a result of an accident at Indian Point to avoid acute health risk.
Dum-dum, beetle-dum-dum, beetle-dum-dum, beetle-dum-dum. There was a turtle by the name of Bert, and the turtle was very alert. When danger threatened him, he never got hurt. He knew just what to do. He ducked and covered, ducked and covered.
He did what we all must learn to do. You
and you
and you
and you, duck and cover.
That's going to be your view. Ms. Howard, I'm going to get down to the other gentleman. Yes.
Well, certainly, let me comment on your comment on Chernobyl.
No, not yet. Do the other one first, and then we'll do Chernobyl.
Again, as Mr. Slobodin has mentioned, there's a scientific basis for the inventory that could be released, the emergency planning area where evacuation or some type of protective action should take place is deemed less than 10 miles. We've kept it at the 10 miles. The 50-mile is from a standpoint of looking at over time and monitoring of any disposition of radioactive isotopes from a standpoint of food or water supply.
Do you agree with what Mr. Renz and Mr. Slobodin have said?
Yes, I do.
That basically the only thing you have to be concerned with is what's in the 10 miles, and 24 miles away you don't have a problem. I don't want to put words in anybody's mouths here because this is heavy stuff.
Point of clarification. One of the assumptions that lays the basis for the 10 miles is that if you plan out to 10 miles, you have an established infrastructure that you can expand upon should the need arise on an ad hoc basis. So that the planning, the assumptions do not...
But Mr. Bond doesn't need to know about that because he's 24 miles away.
He would be advised on an ad hoc basis at the time. It is so unlikely that you would have a protective action outside of anywhere outside of 10 miles.
Yeah, and it's so unlikely that people from that area wouldn't come to New Canaan, which is, I'm being facetious now.
That's a function of public information, public education.
No, it's a function of public reaction to a disaster.
Exactly.
And you and I know that the public is not going to sit by because two experts came to a panel and said you don't need to be afraid. That, you know, and I don't. And if we should be saying to people they don't need to be concerned unless you're 10 miles or in, I just want to make sure that I'm not practicing bad medicine. Mr. Matheson?
A thermonuclear test in the Pacific in 1954 produced a highly contaminated area 20 miles upwind and 220 miles downwind, with a variable width up to 40 miles, large enough to reach from Washington, D.C. to New York City along the densely populated eastern seaboard, which drops tiny radioactive particles back to Earth. Where these particles land depends on a combination of three factors. One, their shape and size. Even the largest may be no bigger than a single grain of sand. Two, the height to which the radioactive cloud rises. And three, the direction and speed of winds at various altitudes. Fallout deposit resulting from the combined effects of these conditions is generally divided into three categories: close in, intermediate, and delayed. Close-in fallout usually settles within a few hundred miles of the burst and reaches the ground within 10 to 20 hours, It is made up of the heavier particles in the cloud. Intermediate fallout descends within a few weeks of the detonation. Since the particles are small, they remain in the air for weeks, covering many thousands of square miles.
Dum-dum, diddle-dum-dum, diddle-dum-dum, diddle-dum-dum. There was a turtle by the name of Bert, and the turtle was very alert. When danger threatened him, he never got hurt. He knew just what to do. He ducked and covered, ducked and covered.
He did what we all must learn to do. You
And you
and you
and you duck and cover.
Well, I guess I'm a little bit skeptical, particularly at the same time.
Skeptical. I'm skeptical of what?
The Entergy claim that only people living within 10 miles would have to take any action for their protection. I think if there were a strong basis in fact for that, the industry and the NRC wouldn't be before the Congress asking for renewal of the Price-Anderson Act. You know, until the industry is willing to back up its words with its money instead of my money, I'm going to remain a little bit skeptical of such claims.
Refresh me, Price-Anderson Act.
Price-Anderson provides federal liability protection in case of a nuclear power plant accident outside the fences.
Dum-dum, diddle-dum-dum, diddle-dum-dum, diddle-dum-dum. There was a turtle by the name of Bert, and the turtle was very alert. When danger threatened him, he never got hurt. He knew just what to do. He ducked and covered, ducked and covered.
He did what we all must learn to do. You
And you
and you
and you duck and cover.
Depending on winds, fallout could extend 40 miles into southwest Illinois in an hour. To Terre Haute, Indiana, 150 miles to the east in 7 hours. And to Wheeling, West Virginia, another 325 miles within 24 hours. Total drift, more than 500 miles.
In conclusion, security and emergency preparedness, just like safe operation, are fundamental components of a thriving nuclear energy industry. And in all three areas, we have an exemplary record. As America's considerations of energy security and national security grow more and more urgent, we must continue to rely on reliable, affordable, clean energy generated at our nation's 103 nuclear power plants in Connecticut and Ohio and across the nation. Thank you.
And yet the American people have been lied to. Not to protect us, but to protect the production agenda and the financial agenda of the nuclear industry. Next slide. Well, this brings us to our story tonight of collusion of government, regulator, and industry to protect not the American people, not the environment, but the financial and production agenda of this industry.
Yes, on your travels across the continent, you may pass through several atomic cities. Some are large, some are small. But they are all good cities to live in which to raise your family, make friends, and enjoy a full life. Atomic cities, cities near atomic laboratories, will become more numerous as nuclear energy work expands, as we continue to travel into the atomic age. So continue your journey across the country. Who knows? Possibly your own community may one day become an atomic city through the magic of the atom.